Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nigel and this is Nigel's Modelling Bench. And this is part 6 of the build of this beautiful ICM Sikorsky CH-54A Tarhe in 1/35 scale. And boy, it's a monster. Here it is, it's absolutely huge. And as you can see, we've got the main structure there and we've got the cockpit done. So now the build is going to sort of take a turn, and it's very much now, it's become very much like a tank. You know, you've got your T-72 you're building, you've built the hull, you've put all the suspension and road wheels on, and now you've got loads and loads and loads of little bits to put on. So that's it. That's what we're doing. So the speed of the video is going to kind of take a change now, because you don't need to watch me glue two halves of a cylinder together, do you, or something like that. So what I'm going to do is sort of get on with the build. I'm probably going to break away from the instructions because I don't want to fit the nose to the main and have all this hanging around and everything. So what I'm going to do is sort of pretty much concentrate from the rotor head back and get all that done, and then we can sort of look at getting the front glued on then, rather than have it all being cumbersome with this great lump hanging off the bottom. So that's my intention. So that's going to be my change of build sequence. And as I say, I'm going to get on and do sort of sub-assemblies, build them up, fit them, and kind of, rather than film every minute of it, I'm going to sort of just come in when there's something of particular interest, something of particular note. So I'm sort of on my glasses here, they're fogging up. What's going on? So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, I shall change over to the other camera up there, and we'll look down at the bench, and I'm going to start off by showing you something that I found a little issue with, which is in the main rotor head, which is looking lovely. So I'll see you at the bench. Okay, so here we are. I've come in a bit closer now because we're working on smaller stuff, and I think it's going to make life a lot easier for you to see what's going on. Right, and I've got to try and remember, people keep telling me what I do. I put stuff in front of the camera, look at that, there you go. And I'm not, you know, too fast. I don't hang around enough. I'm also going to bring the light a bit closer as well. There we go. Right, so here we are with the instructions, with the camera all the way. Look at that, look at it changes. I need to set this camera up so it doesn't do that, but the trouble is if I do that, then you can't see what I'm trying to show you. So basically, got all this together now, and we did this in part 1, didn't we? And then I've done all this here. I can't remember if I showed you that in the end of part 5 or not. I can't remember. But now I'm looking at these little greeblies here, these little brackets, and we've got this area here, which I've done. So that is some sort of gear casing. It's got a fan belt and everything on it. And we've got these little greeblies and bits and pieces going on there. It's like a starter motor here and stuff. So that's all done. So that's how that assembly looks. One sort of issue I have with this, these parts are all positioned in a certain way, as you can see, but they have no location tab on them. So they can sort of go anywhere. So you've just got to guess. And I wish, if ICM are watching this, what I'd like to see is a drawing with like an end-on view like that to show you the angle that these are supposed to be on, because you've got this drawing here, but it's not really showing you a lot. And I've looked through, I don't think they are, but I was just wondering if there's any pipe connections got to go into here. The angle of those two pieces there is going to be quite critical, I think. So, you know, it would be nice to either have a little peg on them, which is too late now, it's tooled, but maybe a little diagram that shows you how they're supposed to go. So just in case this works out right and you're building one of these, there you are. You can have that for free. Whoops. So I've got the bottom edge there square to the bottom of the camera, and you can see how the angle of all those other parts are. So if we run into an issue, you'll know that I've done it wrong. If I haven't done it wrong, then you've got what I'm asking for. So there we are. So we've done all that. Coming to fit these little bits in here. These parts here, H22, they have a ejector pin mark right in the middle of them on that side, which is visible. So what I've done is just puddled some black super glue in there, as you can see, just to sort of turn it into like a web. It probably would be a rough cast web anyway, but I think it improves the look of that a lot. And then we're going to fit these bits on here. Now these bits here are quite troublesome. They have a sprue nib. In fact, I can show you. Yeah, so because we get 4 H sprues, we've got a spare one here, and there it is there. It's part H29, as you can see, and it has a couple of quite large screw nibs on the back, which aren't going to be visible once it's fitted anyway. As you can see, you can't really see the back. Okay, you can't really see the back of that much at all. But you have this webbing here with an ejector pad in it, which is great. Now be very careful when you cut that out, because that piece there, that very thin rod, this very thin rod just wants to snap. So what I did with mine in the end, I got a saw and I saw, where's the part gone? There it is. I sawed through down there, pointer, just sawed through down there, and then cut that off with a pair of snippers, and then just clean that up by scraping it. There's also a mould seam all the way around there. And these mountings are quite largish, and they're on a cylinder, so you need to be careful with your sprue remover. That part there wants to fall off, doesn't it? So yeah, be a little bit careful with your sprue removal. So that's one little issue there. And then the other issue I found is they fit into the top here, and there's little pips in there, and it won't pop in because the pips are too big. So what I've done is just got the knife up against the edge like so, and then just kept the knife square, so you're removing most of the pip, not all of it, and then that should pop in like that. There you go, and it'll come down and it'll sit in the top of there like so. You can see it, just a gorgeous fit. It's really nice. And then we'll just put a drop of extra thin in there and a drop of extra thin in there, because none of it's working. It's just detail. Talking about detail, I think ICM have sort of softened this up quite a lot. When I've looked at reference pictures, and there are sort of there's bolted bolts all around there. There's bolts all around here. There's bolts everywhere, and some of them aren't molded. So I think the aftermarket will jump on that, and you'll probably end up with a resin rotor head assembly. I've spoken to Resi Kit, is it? Res Kit, isn't it, in Ukraine? I've spoken to them, just sent them an email and said, like, you know, could do with some seats for the cockpit, perhaps some detail for the sidewalls, this rotor head here, and another couple of little bits and pieces. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I think ICM have done an absolutely sterling job. It's gorgeous, and I think it's going to look amazing. I've got another one to build, as you know, and when I do that, I think I'm going to add bolts and everything to it, because I don't think it'll take much just to put some bolts around there, and it'll really make it pop, because that's quite a, when you put it on the helicopter, it goes that way, as you can see, it's quite visible. It's sort of in your face. It's probably where your eye's going to go, you know, so it'll look great with all that all dry brushed and everything and chipped. So so that was my little tip for that. It's just come in with the knife, don't remove them completely, just come in with the knife straight and just shave off the tops of them, and then you can fit your part. It will pop in like so, and then the bottom there is just going to get pushed in like so. So you can see, absolutely perfect fit and beautifully done. Not by me, I mean beautifully made by ICM. So there we are. So that's that. This one here, not exactly clear in the instructions where it goes. That is part, where is it? Where is it? It's gone. No, it hasn't. There it is. G113. Okay. There's sort of a slot down there and a slot in the top. Put it into the top first, and then that will give you your position at the bottom. Your first inclination may be to put it at the bottom of that slot down in there. It doesn't go down there. You see it sits on the top like that. So there we are. So I'm going to get on and do some more work on this, and then I'll come back when there's something to show you. Right then, guys, as you see, there's been a break. Today is Wednesday the 22nd of March 2023. The last time I worked on this, or indeed worked on any kit at all, was Monday the 13th of March 2023. So yeah, it's been a week and 2 days since I've done anything, but I've carried on with what I said I was going to do. I've basically built up sort of sub-assemblies. These are the air filters that go on the front. They sort of fit on the front here in front of the engines. So they look quite good. They're a beautiful fit. They're a little bit tricky to build because they don't have very positive location, but for the experienced modeler, no problem at all. There's lovely seams on them. They're going to be gorgeous when they're, you know, sanded and whatever. These little things go on the sides. Is that the right one? Yeah, it's the right one for there. And they fit on the sides of that, and they fit beautifully. There's a seam to deal with down there, which is just going to be a case of sanding, I think. So yeah, really nice. This box here, I can't remember if I showed you this, if I built this online or whatever, I can't remember. I could just go and look back, couldn't I? But I'm here now. So yeah, I've done this. I've thinned out all these panels with ball cutters, as you can see there. So you get this nice thin edge. I also did it on this part here, not realising that those holes just hold these canister things, so there was no need to thin them out at all. So that was a waste of time. But yeah, lovely seam work around there as well. It's a bit of Mr. Servicer, super glue on the top, sanded down just to get those seams around the top there. So that's all going to love it. It's quite a complex little structure, that when you got that sitting in there. You got these 4 little hydraulic, looks like little hydraulic teapots or something, and then you've got a larger one that goes over here, and it's all very yeah, all very busy, looking very nice. So that's that done. I'm not sure what that is. And then I've made a start on the engines. As you can see, we've got engine assembly going together. The ring of bolts where you get on all your engines like that, there's sprue connectors on the back, so they're quite difficult to clean up because the sprue connector goes on where a bolt is. I don't know why they didn't just have a sprue connector on the edge. Maybe they couldn't get enough plastic to flow in because it would be so thin. But yeah, so the screw connector on them is the sprue connector, sorry. But the good thing with this, all these parts are from the H sprue. So other than these two here, other than these 2 rear turbine blades, come here, these 2 parts, 42 and 43, the whole rest of the engine is H, as are most of these. So you've got spares. So if you do mess one up, then you've got no worries, you've got spares in there. Also, as I think I've said before, I've actually made a resin mould so I can make these. But as I've said before, with just those 2 parts there, you can make up another pair of engines, so you could have a fantastic diorama bit going on there. So so that's that. So that's all the little balls there and shafts and all bits and pieces, and more parts of the engine. Again, you've got the sprue connector on the back of there, so you've got to get in there and clean it up. Can't see where it is on that one, but I've obviously done quite a good job of cleaning it up because I can't see it. But it's just a little bit tricky. Just get in there and just trim around it, and you'll be absolutely fine. So we've managed to get rid of the D-sprue now as well. So that D-sprue's gone in the bin. So we're pretty much down to 1 box now. So what I've got to do now is, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to attach the nose and then start adding stuff to the top. I was going to build up all of this here before I fitted the nose, but then I'm thinking it's all going to get broken because none of it is actually sort of, you know, like that fixed down. It's all sort of shafts and stuff sticking up in the air. It's all going to get snapped off. So I think I'll not do that. So anyway, there we go. So I'll carry on and we'll go from there. If anyone's wondering, Jess is still here with me. Jess, some people don't know, Jess is a dog. She's a little wirehead fox terrier. You will have seen some funny pictures that the lovely Alan's done for me. And she's a little wirehead fox terrier. She's a lovely little dog. She is my whole wide world. And she was diagnosed with the horrible illness that gets us all in the end, most of us, and it seems a lot of us anyway. And yeah, so she's sort of recovering now from a big operation, and now we've just got to wait for the cancer to come back, and then that'll be that. So that's why you're not seeing much of me lately. So but I think a lot of you knew that anyway, and thank you very much for all your wonderful and beautiful comments. Right, so I'm gonna get some more of this done and then I'll be back. Okay, so here we are back again, got a bit of work done. I think I showed you this, I've done this before. This is the actual rotor head, all this lovely detail. There is some bolt detail missing, I think I mentioned, I can't remember. There's some bolt detail missing and stuff which could have been there, but it's not. But I mean, it's a lovely looking bit of work, isn't it? It's Beautiful. So that's going to look great on top of the helicopter. So I got this done, and I was thinking, I was looking at the rotor head. So the rotor head starts as this main shaft is glued together in two halves, and then you fit this plate on the bottom, and then we've got all these little inserts that go in the actual rotor head themselves, and then we're putting these two little bits on here, fitting these spacers in between, more plates into the top part, and then we're fitting the main blade supports, the blade hubs, in there in two halves, and then we're going to fit them in there, put the top plate on, sandwich it all together, and then put these little things on the top, whatever they are. We shall find out later. So you can see the rotor head sort of goes together, and after that's done, that's basically pretty much it. We've got a couple of bits and pieces going on here. We've got this plate on the top with a clear disc in it. Why it's got a clear disc, I do not know. It must be for inspection. So that goes together, and then you fit the actual rotors themselves, and then that goes in like that. So I was going to do it so that I could have sort of the rotor head separate rather than fit it to the shaft, but because you've got these links between this lower plate and the rotor head, you can't really do that, so you've got to have it like this. And the reason I've done it now is because when I was looking at it, I was thinking, how am I going to make sure it all runs true? Because I mean, if you've got this shaft all nice and straight, but you've got this plate on an angle, what's going to happen is your rotor head's going to go around, and it's going to be like, you know, it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be going around like that. So what I did, I put it together so that I could fit it onto here, and then twist it and keep an eye on it and make sure it's running true. So that's what I've done, and I've put those two parts on, as you can see there. I've built up these parts here, which are made in halves, and did a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of seam cleanup, obviously, because it's in two halves. So get those all cleaned up nicely. I've built these up, and I've got some super glue in the back. There's slight sinkage in there, so I just wanted to get some super glue just to sand them out. These plates in the top and bottom of the rotor head, they've got like a little step. You can see in there, there's a step, and you need to make sure the step is facing towards you when you put them in, because these pieces here, these spacers, they slot in like so into the gap. Okay, so I've done that. There's a couple of ejector pin marks in them, which I filled and sanded out and that, and you can see they're all done, all nicely and everything. I just flick that over there. So as you can see, we've kind of got everything ready to go together. So if we look at the instructions, we've done this, we need to do this, do that, and then we can slot it all together. So we'll get some extra thin, and we'll get the bottom, and I'm just going to put some extra thin into that groove like that and drop that in there. That should be enough to hold that in place. So yeah, if you wonder why I'm doing the rotor head, it's because I want to build and not paint. In fact, what I'm going to do is put some glue in here and let that capillary along. I want to glue and not paint, and I don't want to be fitting the nose onto the main fuselage yet, because I'm not feeling, just not feeling into it, to be honest. I'll just sit in there. This really is, it's a great kit. The fit is just amazing. It's going together really, really nicely. Right. So that's that done. We can just check that's going to fit on the top. You can see that's a Beautiful little assembly, got a hair in there. Come out. It's a beautiful little assembly, and that's going to go like that. Right, so that's all nicely together. Now these main hubs go together, and they go, you've got these little pins on here, on those little triangular sections, and they're going to go into there. So that's going to slot in. Everything's got hairs on it. It's because I've been playing with Jess, so I guess my hands and arms are covered in hairs. But basically that's going to go like that. 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 And if you notice, I've gone away from the instructions because they're telling you to fit this lower plate onto that hub before you do this. And my problem with that is I don't know if I've got it all running true. So I'm thinking the bigger the assembly, the easier it'll be able to see if it's all running true. So as you can see, that all just slots in like that, and there's no glue needed. And that's going to go on the top like that, and it all just press fits together just like so, and you can see everything's nice and firm and snug. So I mean, I think you could actually just leave that like that and not glue it together, and then that's going to plonk onto the top of there. There's a peg that's got to align. You've got these two bits here, the two little tabs on them that go into those two little slots in there, and there's a little cutout in there. You can see there's a little slot just in front of the finger there, and that goes over that peg, so that needs to go in like that. And as you can see there, we've got our main rotor head now built up, and we can make sure that it all stays nice and true because it's all going together as an assembly rather than as a single plate. So that's that. So you can have a look at that. It's looking lovely, even without all the smaller details on there. It's looking really, really nice. So there we are. Right, and then we've got these pieces here, which will, when I've sanded them out, will fit into there like that. And there's 6 of them, and they fit into there like that. Let me try. I've got the shakes. They're going to fit like that, and then that plate with this clear disc on it, it's got these cutouts in it, and that's going to sit on there like so. Okay, so there we are. So I get those sanded out and glued on, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've got those bits rubbed down now. Got that's the black super glue in there, so it just fills in those slight sink marks. So there we go, and as you can see, this upper plate has those 6 little recesses in it, and they're going to line up with them, and that just clips on, and again it stays on its own. It's all such a lovely fit, and that plate goes on there, and we'll have that clear disc in the middle so you can see down inside. And yeah, it's very, very nice indeed. The other thing I've just realised, just thinking out loud, I haven't glued this top and bottom part together, and I think it's a good idea to not glue it together, because I can pop that off now and paint it all inside, and then glue it together after, or even just not bother gluing it together. But it's nice. I think it's nice to have it so that it's take apartable, if that's the correct word, and then we can get paint down in there and make sure we get into all the nooks and crannies and everything, which will make life a lot easier. So but that is really, really nice. And then when we put all these little, we've done all this now, so we can tick these off. So I can tick that, I can tick that, I can tick that, and I can tick that. Right, so we've got all these little bits and pieces to go on now, these little rods, and then more rods on the top, and then it will be done. So what we'll do is we'll get all that painted before we do this, and then we can get it all put together. So here we are, and as you can see, when we pop that on there, get that lined up in the right place like that, you can see we've got a rotor head that goes together beautifully. And when we put it onto the actual main helicopter itself, whoops, I've made these pieces up on the sides as well here. They're very nice little obviously some sort of filter canisters or something that go on the sides in there, so I built them up. So that is going to pop that way round. That's going to go onto there like so. So as you can see, we've got a lovely big rotor head on our great big long fuselage. So yeah, looking really, really nice. So what's next? I've built up the tailplane, or stabulator I think it's called. Somebody told me. And I've just done a lot of really detailed cleanup and everything. As I say, I've already covered that, and I've built apart the engines and that. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, guys, but I've broken a prop shaft there. It's days between filming, so I'm kind of forgetting what I've said already. You know, only 50 minutes ago for you was like nearly 2 weeks ago for me. So there we go. Right, so I'll get something else done, and then I'll see you in a minute. Right, moving forward. 2 hours ago I think it was I did this, so that's all nice and dry now. I'm looking at sub-assemblies I can build up and work on, as you know, and then we're going to have like a massive painting day, I expect, and get it all primed and painted. So looking at these exhausts, and the way they're asking us to do it in the instructions is to fit this centre part of the exhaust, which contains the drive shaft from the engine, onto the turbine, and then fit half of the exhaust, and then fit the other half, and then fit these little two side pieces in, and then fit the actual drive shaft housing, whatever it is, that goes in there. Now, my problem with this is getting it all painted and everything. So I'm wondering if we can build the exhaust up as a sub-assembly, and then we can deal with the seams inside, we can deal with the seam around here, we can deal with the seams we're going to get on the sides and everything, and not have the turbine on, because what they're telling us to do is glue this on here like that, and then we're going to come along and fit this over like so, and that is an absolutely awesome fit. Look at that fit, it is incredible. Like that, and then we're going to fit this piece under here. Yes, I've still got the shakes, and then fit these pieces in the sides. That's the wrong side, so that's going to go in there like that. And then we're going to have all these gaps and everything, and you can see down in here we've got seams to deal with. There's also ejector pin marks in there, which I've already done. So what I'd like to do is be able to build it up and then take that off, so we can work on the seams without having that in the way, and also we can paint this separately then. So I think it's going to work, so I'm going to give it a go. And one of the best things about making the resin copy of this, if you're wondering why I've made a resin copy, there it is because you get 4 of the H sprue in the kit, and all of the engine parts other than these 2 parts here, there's left and a right, are on the H sprue. So if we got resin ones of these, we can make up another pair of engines. I know I've said it about 1,000,000 times, but I can't remember when. So these have been glued, these parts here have been glued together. You can see here you glue H45 and H46 together, so they've been glued together, and the seams dealt with on there. So what I'm going to do now is put this on my resin part, however it's going to go. There we go. And then put this, tell you what I'll do, I'll drop that into there, would be easier I think. No, it goes in that way, doesn't it? I'll put that into there. Okay, and then I can fit that, where's the tab is there. There we go. Right, so that's gone together like that. So now I can put that in there. You can see how lovely that fit is there. And then we could get, in fact I'll use the quick setting to get it all tacked together quickly. And the reason I'm using the resin part is I know the plastic cement doesn't work on the resin, so I know that I won't get a problem with any glue capillarying down here and getting stuck to it. So that's cool. So that's gone together well. I put my finger on the joint and it capillary under my finger, you can see there. Okay, so now we can put some more here and really get that joint welded together good and strong. And this edge here, we want to make sure it's dead straight along there so that it remains parallel. What I can do is get a straight edge, just push that down there to make sure they do stay parallel. There we go. And then we can get some cement. We'll use the ordinary round here. Get some cement around there. And get that glued in. So there we go. As you can see, that's all gone together beautifully. I could take that away because it won't be stuck on there. Because yeah, I got some glue kipper in under there, but it hasn't stuck to the resin, so that's cool. And then what I can do is get some cement in here just to make sure that joint is nice and strong in there. You've got such a good joint, sometimes it's difficult to get the cement to penetrate because it's so, there's nowhere for it to go, if you like. So there we are. So that's that done. I'm just going to push that up a tiny bit. Just check the fit once again. There we are. That's gone together beautifully. So now I can take that off of there, work on the seams, and these parts will fit in like a dream, like that. Once it's dry, what I'll do is I'll sand this nice and flat, and then that will fit in there beautifully. Right, let's grab this text message. So that's both of them built up. As you can see, these side pieces fit in, and they fit absolutely beautifully. Look at that. So yeah, quick go around with some Mr. Surfacer on the inside and a bit of sanding, and they'll be really nicely done. So I'm really happy that they've come out. So you can actually build them off of that part, and then you can deal with this all separately, paint that separately, have that on the back of your engine, and then just plonk it on. And then we've got these shafts here are going to go down inside there, and they're a very snug fit in there, so don't go putting too much paint down inside there, or any at all, or just sand some material off of that. But just see how that one fits in there. Yeah, it's a nice fit. So there we go. So that's another couple of sub-assemblies for painting. So I'll do the Mr. Surfacer work on them, and then we'll see where we go next. So I've done the Mr. Surfacer now. This is like 2 days later, and I've gone around the inside with some Mr. Surfacer, and I've gone around with a cotton bud with thinners and done some sanding, and got them all sort of blended out and everything, as you can see. But I have an issue with the way it's moulded. It's these faces here that butt together aren't flat. They kind of go together like this, so there's like a bigger gap on the inside than there is on the outside. And if I sand it away to get a nice flat contact area, I'm going to end up with a small part. Then on the inside here, on these outer parts, on this outer part here, there is a step moulded on the inside of the plastic, and you can probably see in there where I have a line of Mr. Surfacer in there filling that step in. Of course, the trouble is when you sand it, it's very difficult to not damage the detail in these ribs. I've gone around Mr. Surfacer on those joints of those little side pieces, and they are practically now invisible, so that's good. The problem with this is when you actually look at the model, you actually look at your helicopter, this is going to go on here like that. Okay, so that is like really visible on the finished model, and it's going to be a hell of an eye catcher as well, because with the metallic paint and everything, it's going to be picking up your eyes. So luckily, as I say, all of this is on the H sprue except for these two pieces here, so we can make another couple because we have spares. So what I've decided to do is go for a different way of building them. What I've done is filled in the ejector pin marks inside, as you can see there. I filled in that step. It's almost like the plastic steps back on that edge. It's only on that side, not on this side. And you can see it does the same here. You can kind of see it there. Can you see that step? And it disappears on this side. It's really weird. So what I've decided to do is assemble them like this, and then all I've got to deal with is that seam. So I can deal with that seam, get that all sorted, and here you can see there's quite a big gap on the inside. On the outside it's lovely and smooth. So I can deal with that seam now, get that all done, okay, and then once that's done, put the insert piece in, which I made another couple of those obviously. So then that's going to slot in there, like so, okay, when it needs to be fitted. And we'll fit that on with the resin parts again. Then we can deal with that seam there inside and out, and then we can put these parts on and deal with those seams. So basically, instead of having to, because I'm trying to get in here with sanding sponges and sticks, and it's all a bit difficult and awkward to get in because that centerpiece is in the way, and it's just, I just think it'd be easier to do it this way. So we got the spare parts and we got the time, so why not give it a go? So I'll let those dry now. I'm going to run some super glue around those gaps in there to add some strength and also give it some body, because just Mr. Surfacer is going to keep sinking back because it's quite a big gap. So that's what I'm going to get done now, and then I'll come back and we'll see how we get on with this new sort of build process. But the other thing I've done, I've got this little Infini PE sander. Push it up against there and make sure that all remains flush on that face. So all good really. So I'll leave that for now and get some Mr. Surfacer in there, and I'll see you come back when I've done some more. So this works really well. You can see these are the ones I did before, okay, all built up. I'm trying to get in there with sanding sponges and stuff, and sanding it and everything. I've been using this old Flory coarse sanding stick to get in and clean up the super glue, and it seems to be working really well, although it's quite coarse. I've got these from Premium Hobbies, from over at Premium Hobbies. These are the Migamo ones, and they're quite nice, but if I have one major criticism, they go from 320 grit, you've got 120 which is really coarse, 180, 240, 320, and then straight to 1200. There's no 400, 600, 800. It's, you know, it's straight from this, you know, this really coarse stick to this, which is really, really fine. So there should be, you know, I mean, the Infini ones start at 400. You know, they don't need to go up to 1500, not really. They don't need to go up to 120. I wish there was like a 400 and a 600. So that would be my, maybe there is another set you can get. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. But they seem to work quite well. They get in there and everything. But you know, 320 really for this sort of thing is too coarse, and 1200 is just, you know, it's just not taking anything off. Yeah. I've got these here as well to try, but these again, you see, they go 120 to 320 and then straight to 1200 and 1500. Don't get it. Especially when Migamo is you know, Mickey Meneth is one of the world's best modelers, isn't he? You'd think he would know better, but anyway. As I say, there may be a different set that you can get. So there we go. So that's all done, all sanded out inside, and I will now give them a coat of primer just to seam check them before I put the inner in, because as you can see, once the inner's in, that's what makes it difficult to sand. But put these side pieces on and blended them in, and I've used super glue as a filler so I don't get all the sinkage of the Mr. Surfacer. Mr. Surfacer on, brushed around here and then taken off with a cotton bud with levelling thinners. But yeah, really happy with how that's come out there. So that would be my recommendation. Glue them together like that, and then you can work on them to your heart's content. So and you've got spares to mess up if you do want to. So I'm going to get a coat of primer on these, and then we'll get the inners in and see how they look. Well, to say I'm pleased would be an understatement. They are absolutely seamless. The only thing I can see where the sprue nubs were on the sides there. But I'm really impressed with how they've come out. ICM have done a beautiful job of moulding these. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how the seam work has gone. So I stress once again, this has got to be the way to do it, because, you know, with that central piece in there, it's in the way, and without it there, it's so much easier to get in there. Especially with all these sort of the steps and things that are in there. It's not just, if the steps weren't there, the seam work would be really easy, but because there's sort of undercuts in areas and it's weird. But it's worth a bit of work. It's taken me probably 3 hours to do these. So yeah, it's a bit of work, but it's worth doing, I think. So we'll let those dry off now, and I'll get these interiors glued in, and then I'll work on the seams around here like I have on those. The interior seam is going to be very difficult to do. I think I'll just mist a surfacer it like I've done with that one, and then go around with the cotton bud. But the trouble is, it's all so bloody visible, unless of course you soot it up, but I don't think these would get sooty. We shall see. And I think I'm going to use these. I'm very lucky. Mig Ammo have sent me some A-stand paints, which are basically the old Alclads, and I'm going to have a bit of a play with those and see if we can get these looking very metallic. So we shall see. Right, and there we go. As you can see, I've got an engine here just temporarily all put together, just so I can see what sort of size it was and where the sprue nibs come out and everything. But, you can see that's all just ready to fall apart. So done the exhausts, all nicely done all the inside and everything now, so really happy with how they've come out. And as I say, I would really suggest using that method, because it makes it a lot easier to get inside and deal with those seams and everything. They still need a little bit of a touch up here and there, I can see, but we will get that done. So there we are. There's the two of them there. See, I've still got this bulging here where the sprue nibs were. Very strange. So I'll have to go over those with a hard stick. But anyway, so that's all that done. In fact, I'm glad in a way that's happened. Those of you that watch my channel a lot, or have watched me a lot for a long time, you'll know that I always talk about not using sponges to remove sprue nibs from stuff, because what happens is you've got a straight line here, you've got a sprue nib on it. If you use a straight hard edge, it will take that off. If you use a sponge, it will go under, over, and you'll end up with exactly what I've got there. And it's because I've used a sponge. I've used this flory skinny sponge on there, and that's exactly why that's happened. I need to go on with something like this 400 grit stick. Just, you can see as soon as I rub that, in fact we can take this out now, as soon as I rub that you can see the high areas coming through. Do the same on the other side, and that's what's going on there. I'll do the same on this one, and that is all because the lady loves, no, it's all because I've been using a sponge. So there we are. Okay, so obviously once you've got it all flat, and you've removed the lumps and bumps, then you can go over with a sponge. So the paint's not fully dry yet, it's tearing rather than sanding. But yeah, that's how we need to get that cured. So there we go. So I am going to finally call that a day for part 6. It's been going on and on and on and on. Probably not in your one, in fact it's probably a shorter video, but in my world it's been going on and on and on and on. So I'm going to call it a day for part 6, take a break from it, and then I'll be back with part 7. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. And hopefully next, I guess, we'll be building up some engines and stuff. But yeah, it's all looking very nice indeed. So I'll see you all for part 7. Thank you for watching. Bye bye for now.